investigations. You're not supposed to make conclusions. That's like saying the NYPD is the last word on what charges are brought. You know, when you see an episode of Law and Order. Folks, that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Come now. It's time to bring a little bit of common sense back to government. And if it takes a shakeup like this, and for Donald Trump to maybe expose himself to some bad press, and we all know he doesn't care about any bad press, then if this is what it takes to restore the Department of Justice to being a credible, trustworthy, non-partisan department, I'm all for it. And that being said, if there is some sort of connection between Trump and Russia that comes out, and this whole firing was a way to stop that investigation, a la Andrew Cuomo getting rid of his commission into political corruption when they started finding political corruption in the governor's office. By the way, where's that prosecutor, Democrats? If that's the case, then you know what? By all means, investigate it to the hilt. See what you can find. I don't want anybody in my government that's doing that. Absolutely not. I agree. But until you give me some evidence, some good faith basis, as they say, for what you're thinking and what you're positing, and instead you're only, or if all you're giving me is political conjecture, folks, then it's time to just stop and let the adults handle things. I don't think Donald Trump has a connection to Russia. He sent a certified letter to Senator Lindsey Graham today from his attorneys, stating affirmatively that he has no connection or business dealings with Russia. Politically, financially, professionally, whatever, he doesn't have them. Unless you bring me something more than hearsay, like this golf journalist saying that Eric Trump said something 3 years ago about getting money from Russia. Unless you have something substantial, I don't want to hear this anymore. I'm done with this Russia thing. You got to be done with the Russia thing, because when you have Dianne Feinstein saying that there's no there, and when you have Wolf Blitzer becoming so downtrodden and depressed over it, get well soon, Wolf. There has to come a time when you say, that's it, and now let's get on with the business of government. And part of the business of government is restoring the Department of Justice. And if you read that letter carefully, as we analyzed in the first segment, then you see that there are AGs and deputy AGs across the political spectrum, from Mike Mulcahy to Eric Holder, that are all critical of the job that Director Comey, or former Director Comey, has done. And when you have that sort of uncomfortable feeling on a bipartisan level, when Democrats and Republicans are not okay with the job you're doing, then it's time for you to go. And especially when you're giving misleading information to Congress, and when you're not being accurate in your testimony, and showing that you're being careless, and when you're having leaks, of huge proportions coming from the national security and the intelligence community, and you can't tell us where they're coming from, then, there's something wrong, and something needs to be changed, and something needs to be done, and maybe firing at the top is what needs to be done. I'm with it. I agree. Let's get Trey Gowdy in there, folks. That's the guy I'd love to see in there. I mean, there are tons of people out there that I'm sure would be good. I'm sure Ted Cruz would be great, because he has a prosecutor's mind. Mike Lee would be great. He has the analytical ability of a very intelligent attorney and servant of the law to be able to do all this. I've heard people say Sheriff Clark. I mean, I don't know the guy. I know that he's a bit of a firebrand. He is a sheriff. He has a law enforcement background. Okay. I'd even love to see Ray Kelly, the former commissioner of the NYPD, in there. His age may be a consideration, but that's someone who did a tremendous job with the NYPD as far as fighting terrorism and knowing, how to handle investigations. I'd love to see him in a position like that, especially because he's an alumni. We both went to Manhattan College, so I would have an alumni connection there. That would be great. So many things going on, so many different developments, so many heads exploding on the left because of Donald Trump again. This should be a clue to everyone. If you haven't figured it out already about Donald Trump, he don't care what you think. He don't care about the optics. He cares about furthering his agenda and going forward with the business of America. And I like it a lot. I mean, for goodness sake, there was even one crackpot theory about saying that how this is a cover-up into, his administration and trying to cover up policies that aren't going forward. This is the same week that he had the American Health Care Act pass the House, and that he had a great thing in the quote-unquote beautiful Rose Garden, talking about how they're pushing, the promises that they said about repealing and replacing Obamacare forward. He wants a cover-up from a policy win? Come on. These Democrats, it goes to show you that the leaders on the left, they just don't know what to think of this whole thing. So they go back to their old standbys. Conspiracy, resist, opposition, and cast aspersions. And forgetting about what they said in the past. Goodness gracious me, this has become a huge news day here behind Enemy Lines. We're glad that you came along with us. Final thought time from me. It's not easy to come home from work and to put together a radio show dealing with breaking news of a major proportion. Some would say Nixonian, but I don't go there. But it's still a huge news story that's going to dominate for days, weeks, and possibly months to come. To go home and put all this together for you, give you a little bit of analysis, is a pretty heavy lift on our part. We hope you appreciate it. You know we love to do it. But man, oh man, what a night. I want to thank you guys for listening. Next week, we're going to try to get some guests on the show. Maybe we'll analyze this a little further, and we'll see where this whole James Comey thing leads as far as the political fallout, not to mention the administrative fallout of trying to find a new FBI director. And, like I said, we'll get some talking heads on here maybe, and some other people to give our opinions. Go to our website, www.behindmelinesradio.us. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you agree with Bernie Sanders saying that Donald Trump's decision to fire James Comey raises serious questions about what his administration is hiding. Or tell me if you think that there's nothing to hide, there's much to do about nothing, the reasons as stated by the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General are good enough for you. And you let us know what you think. I'd love to hear from you guys, especially as the show's going to be transitioning to some very exciting things once we get Russ back on live and, the whole thing that we've been talking about for a while. But until then, hope you enjoyed this show. We're happy to bring it to you. But right now, it's time to shut this sucker down. Thank you again for listening. I'm Gene Baradelli. This has been Behind Enemy Lines, live from the People's Republic of New York. And we are out of here. Good night, folks.
Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. A rock radio production. Copyright 2016. Back in 7 days. Out.